Hello and welcome to the Hotkeys podcast, your shortcut to various opinions on all things pop culture. This is the episode for the week of December 13th, 2020. I am your host for this week, David Parker, and joining me today is...
Landon Browning.
Wil Dobratz.
And Colby Chapman.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We're a little behind with our release schedule with everything going on. We've been a little inconsistent lately, but we will try to get back on a regular schedule again. I don't want to place the blame on one specific person, but if we had to, Landon is the one that left us to go to Montana.
Wait.
So
So put it on me?
What? No, I said if I said I didn't say I was going to. I said if I had to.
It's a big if,
Yeah,
it makes sense though.
Very circumstantial.
I think if we're gonna put blame on a general person for derailing the scheduling, I feel like they're not even here.
So Landon, we talked a little bit last week. Landon is now in Montana for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
You are now a Montanite, Montanonian.
I'm more so referred to by the locals as the Spowtown Gunslinger is kind of what they've been referring to me as. I rolled in here.
How'd you get that name?
Well, the locals gave it to me. I was up in the remote town of Shelby, and I ended up helping dispute some local claims. I'm actually the town marshal of Shelby now, so I'm kind of a hero here now. So,
what are the town people's names?
Yeah, can you name
one.
any?
Just name one.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, just name one.
Jerry McBride.
Okay, you just made that up. So you started work there on Monday. How has that been? We talked a little bit. Well, we talked a lot about before we started recording, but you said it's just a lot of driving around. Montana's a big place. So
I've driven a lot. So I drove from Spokane to Great Falls, which was over 160 miles or something, and then I think for the week I've driven well over 1,000. So it's been a lot of driving to different remote towns that have small grocery stores or. In Montana, there's a lot of big gas stations. So
yeah,
you know how you see in Spokane, there's not a lot of them, but the out of town type gas stations where it's more it's almost like a small grocery store the size of them. They have big shower, it's almost like a huge truck stop. So our branch of the company in Montana does a lot of all the work at the gas stations. The town pump is the big brand over here. So there's all these gas stations in tiny little remote towns, and they all have casinos
in them.
Yep, yeah, that's another thing. There's probably a casino every 2 blocks.
Now, is Gunslinger Landon a gambling man?
No, that's the thing. I'm a man of God. I don't touch the devil's machines.
The devil's temptations.
Yeah, the devil's temptations have no effect on
no hold on you. I feel like if Landon was a gambling man, that might be just a little dangerous.
It would, yeah.
For the casinos that you're in.
Yeah.
You're robbing them blind, am I right?
Would Landon count cards?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Oh well, that's the thing in Montana. They're not allowed to have cards. It's all just slot machines. So,
oh, what?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Which
the least
I would
fun
never,
type of gambling.
Yeah, I know.
It's the worst.
I would never. But everyone, you show up to these remote towns. There's nothing. Nothing. Miles and miles of nothing. And you show up. There's a gas station, a small casino, in all of them. There's at least 5 to 6 old people drinking beer or mixed drinks at 10:30 in the morning, just playing the slot machines just for hours.
You got to get your cheap thrills and sins in somehow.
So
yeah,
is that the place to retire then? Is Montana?
I don't think so. I think it's the place. I think
to retire?
Maybe I'm being overtly judgmental to the population that is so welcoming with open arms, and kind of maybe their leader to a certain extent.
Okay.
It seems like it's kind of a lot of gambling and alcohol consumption. I went to a liquor store, which there's also liquor stores every 2 blocks, and I just wanted to get some stuff to make old fashions, which, in my opinion, is a very well-known drink, and it's very simple to make. And I couldn't find any simple syrup on any of the shelves, so I went and asked this guy at the counter. I'm like, "You guys have any simple syrup?" And his eyes glazed over. He's like, "Oh, what do you mean?"
What is that? Isn't simple syrup essentially just kind of
It's like
sugar water? That's basically all it is,
like,
right? I've made simple syrup before. It's just like sugar and
so
water.
like, but I mean, a pretty popular mixer, you know, that I feel like you would have at a liquor store. And like, so he went and asked his boss, and his boss was like, "Oh, we don't carry that here. That's just,
in Montana, you just drink that.
I think they just drink it
straight.
they just drink it straight here. I don't think they really mix. There wasn't like any mixers in this liquor store. It was just hard alcohol everywhere. But it was like I saw like a group of Mennonites like in this liquor store buying like a ton of like I mean, they looked like Mennonites at least. I mean, like the big dresses, like the whatever the Amish like hair covering things are. But they were like, I mean, they looked like they were about ready to have a good time.
So. They were loading up. They probably got like 12 kids that are still 22, like at their place.
Living at home, yeah.
Living at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. It hasn't been super cold, but the one of my coworkers that lives up here said that I think it was last year they had a month straight where it never got above -10, and a lot of it was like -30.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Where'd
they end up?
That sounds terrible.
Where they end up putting you up? Because when we talked about that last time, there was no place established yet since it was so on the fly.
Spur of the moment. They put me in a hotel, which I was a little bit wary of at first because of how like I'll be here for a decent amount of time. But they put me in this like actually really nice hotel. Like there's like a mini kitchenette, like laundry, or not a laundry machine, but like washer, stovetop, fridge, freezer, separate bedroom. It's pretty decent. I mean, it's probably like half the size of my actual apartment, so it's a little bit smaller, but I'm not really doing anything. So continental breakfast every morning.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they can't go down and like hit the buffet, but they make stuff and you can get it packaged up, take it back to your room.
I talked to you on the phone the other day, and doesn't sound like you've been utilizing that.
I've done it like 3 or 4 days in a row now. So
okay.
A couple days I've slept in a little too late to. I needed to get a late start. So.
What's the best thing they offer?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like the quality of the food hasn't been great, but it's free, and I don't have to make
I mean,
it,
it's a continental breakfast. I mean,
like,
the ceiling.
You're not
is
gonna turn it down. Absolutely.
No, I mean, it's like you go down there instead of having to spend 20 minutes making eggs in a sausage link, you get eggs in a sausage link made for you, and then like a bowl of oatmeal or whatnot. So, but I'm not complaining.
I mean, can you think of something simpler though than a continental breakfast that just kind of makes the experience so much more fun? There's something about going somewhere, and as soon as it has a breakfast, you're like, yeah.
And it's too bad that like you can't eat down there, because that's like one of the fun, like you said, like you get up in the morning, you kind of go down there, and you're like, it's going to be like one of like 6 different things, but you're like kind of excited when you go down there, like, oh, what are they serving today? Like, even though it's always like basically the same thing, you're like, oh man, they got muffins out today. Oh boy, like this is big.
And then you get to people watch all the other sad saps staying at the Holiday Inn Express.
I'm probably the saddest sap staying here.
Wondering what decisions they made in life that got them at this point.
Yeah, because like...
And then you realize you're one of them.
Oh, yeah. Like when I checked in, she's like, oh, wow, you're staying here for a while. And I'm like, yeah. I felt like...
Did she say that once you're in Great Falls, you never leave?
No, she didn't say that. But I felt like... Now, this is a deep cut a little. I felt like Hugh Jackman's character from The Prestige when he shows up to Colorado Springs and he checks into the hotel. And they're like, how long will we be staying? And I'm like, as long as it takes. Then I go to my room. Yeah, that's just how I roll. I haven't found Tesla yet, though. So,
well, I hope that you find your Tesla.
What is your Tesla? Is it leaving in 3 weeks or?
Well, I think I'm coming back. I think. So what is today? Today's the
13th.
13th. I come back. I think I'm coming back the 23rd, I think, for Christmas Eve, and then I'm going back up the following Monday for another week and a half or 2. It's kind of all playing by ear. Like, it's kind of, there's no real plan. So, they probably won't let me leave.
What are you looking forward to most?
What am I looking forward to most? Like,
yeah, like...
What, about coming back or about just life in general?
Well, about your, like, Montana trip. So you're, like, basically...
Looking forward to having a wife someday.
Well, Colby, have you heard of a sake bomb?
You gotta stop, dude.
So, Landon, I'm not sure how much you want to talk about it, but like you did discover these things called sake bombs, correct?
Well, yeah, just in sake in general. So, the hotel I'm staying at, there's 2 restaurants in the parking lot. There's this like standard burger and brewery place, and then there's a Japanese steakhouse. And the first night I was here, I walked into the Japanese steakhouse and I looked around and like no one helped me at first, so I left. Like I was just looking around, I'm like, this looks a little fancy for what, like, you know, tonight. I was really tired.
For Gunslinger Landon.
Yeah, like so I went to the burger place and it sucked. Like the service was terrible. So then like 2 nights later, my boss had came down because he's helping smooth some stuff over here too. And I'm like, dude, like he was wanting to, like he goes out of town so much that he likes just making food in his apartment, in his hotel room. And so he'd made dinner for me like the night before, and I'm like, dude, like let's go to a restaurant. Like this steakhouse looks good. And so we went, and I'd never had like Japanese, like gone to a Japanese steakhouse where they have like 8 people all sit around this like flat top grill, like from different parties. Like so we were there sitting there, and then there's a couple other groups, and the guy cooks it up and like does a little show, like makes jokes and stuff. And then they also have this stuff called sake, which I still don't quite know what it is.
It's just like a rice wine, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's really good. So I should probably leave it at that. But, went on some adventures that night, so remember some of it.
So what is a sake bomb though? Is that's like,
so they take it's like half a pint of beer, and then they put a shot of sake, and they suspend it on 2 chopsticks above the glass of beer. Mm-hmm. And then you do this like weird chant where like the waitress says like something, and then you scream sake back, and you do that 3 times, and then you slam the table, which causes the shot to fall into the thing, and then you just chug it. So that was fun. I about puked, but just trying to chug it. I don't chug drinks very often, but
if it's a sake bomb, then that's
if it's a
what
sake
you're doing.
bomb. And then of course you go from sake bombs just to sake. So
It sounds like not a slippery slope.
Oh, it was slippery.
It sounds like a typical Wednesday night down in Montana.
It was a typical.
Probably not a slope. That's like a wall. Like you're just sliding down a wall
cliff?
at that point.
Well, I mean,
Cliff,
the sake
you
the
just
sake
jump off
goes
a cliff.
the sake goes down so smooth that it's like, you know, I don't know.
that you want to jump off the cliff. So it's
Yeah. So that Japanese, it's nice having that restaurant. I haven't eaten out too much actually since I've been down here the first week, but I'll definitely be going back to the.
Are a lot of things open, or is everything open? Is it like that there's no pandemic, or?
No, I would say everything's open, I think, for the most part, but it's still masks. People wear masks. It's probably in the smaller towns, like it's less so. Like all the places still have signs saying like mandatory mask wearing, but then you walk into like a casino and like the person like the people working there just are not wearing masks, and no one in there's wearing masks.
Yeah.
So it's and all the restaurants are open. I think they have somewhat limited seating, but so it's lighter than Washington. But
I went there in August, and it was pretty similar to what Landon's experience is, except there was one town. I think it was Browning. No,
I hope not.
No. There's one town that I went to called Browning, Montana. And they were doing contact tracing, like the full thing. Like you walk into the store, full name, number, like so, which they're not doing here in Washington, which I thought was weird for Montana, because like also half the people I didn't see with masks, but they did take it the extra step. So I'm sure nobody lied about their names or their number.
I mean, why would they? I mean, you know, there's nothing people want more than to have, you know, the government and other corporations knowing every single detail about them, right? I mean, but overall, so far, it's been good.
It's been good. I've been really tired with all the driving I did. I actually had a pretty long work week, so I haven't had a chance to go do too much.
Hey, but oh, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
You were going to say that's what the gunslinger does? Just
no,
gets that money done.
I was going to say all the driving. I was going to say it's a good time to listen to a lot of music and a lot of podcasts, right?
I've gotten back into the Case Files podcast about all the murder.
I've been listening. Which ones have you been listening to lately?
I've just been picking random ones, like from towards the newer ones. Dude, what was the one that I get kind of angry listening to some of them when like I feel like the justice system just like botches it.
Failed.
What was the one I listened to
failed.
One where this this 15
on the 1 yard.
Yeah, like this 15-year-old boy got beat to death by this like sexual predator, and like the police were so determined that like his brothers killed him that they were like planting evidence on the crime scene to like implicate the brothers.
Oh my gosh.
And it turned out like they had this known sex offender as like a suspect, but they didn't even like interview him that much, and it went like I think he got away with it for like
because he lied about his alibi, and they didn't look into the alibi.
But the thing with the Predator guy was he was a known arsonist, so he'd spent time in jail for multiple arson crimes. But he got out early on parole each time, and then he like sexually assaulted like 7 or 8 minors, and only did like 5 years and got out on parole. So like this, I'm like, why?
That should be the top of your suspect list.
That
shoots you right to the top.
But my thought would be like, why did he get out on parole? Like, I mean, like he sexually assaulted like 7 people. Like, why is he like? I feel like isn't that enough for life in jail? Like,
yeah, it's kind of a depressing show when you listen to those episodes because you think about all the failures that have that's happened in criminal justice, and then the things that other people do to other people is just horrifying.
Well, yeah, and what was another one I listened to was about these 3 girls. This mom, her daughter, and their exchange student got murdered when they were staying in this hotel in some park. I don't know if you've listened to that one, Dave,
in California.
Yeah, and like, and the guy that did it was also involved. Like
he was the handyman of.
Yeah, like he was the handyman.
They just didn't look into him.
Yeah, they didn't. They just totally missed it. They totally missed it for like a long time.
That happened not far from where I used to live, actually.
Oh dang.
Yeah, actually, because that one. So, in case people are wondering, like Landon and I are talking about this podcast. It's called CaseFile. That's about these kind of gruesome cases that have happened. They're not all like murder, but sometimes it's like fires or things like that. Kind of just like unexplained mysteries that are just kind of interesting stories, basically. And one of them recently, it was about this exchange student, this person. This mom and daughter, I believe, and they get killed by this guy who was a handyman at this resort place. But his brother was someone who was kidnapped at a young age.
And they done a case file on.
And they did a case file on that. But he was kidnapped from the town that I used to live in.
Oh wow!
In Merced, California. This happened like way before we lived there. But this happened in this town, like in the middle of California, that is. This Air Force base used to be on, but hearing those, I was like, oh dang, like it was like I lived like right over there, and you think about all these.
Could have been you.
Yeah, could have been me.
But yeah,
these
I don't
crazy
know.
stories about people getting kidnapped, and like it's really depressing because you think like the evil like the evils of people are horrifying, basically.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It makes drives go by quick, but it kind of makes me like mad and depressed sometimes, where I kind of have to take a break from it.
Yeah,
because it's like sometimes it's like the like wrong place, wrong. Like it's like this if they just like, you know what I mean? Like it's just random chance that someone decided like they were just in the wrong place and they could have totally avoided all this. But
is it kind of like you're very surprised that that the bad things are so common in like you think of like evil happening in the world, you think of. At least I think of third world countries a lot. I think of like countries that are poor, countries that are, but then all this stuff happens, and I know it's probably less common here than it is in other places. Possibly, I'm not quite sure on statistics or anything else, but I feel like it's just like a solid reminder.
Well, yeah, I mean, people like to think that evil things happen other places, or that it's more likely to happen elsewhere. That it wouldn't happen in my town. It wouldn't happen to someone I know. It wouldn't happen here. It wouldn't. It's not like the guy down the street is the kind of person that would do things like that. But then you listen to these shows, or you watch TV shows or whatever, that like you realize that monsters live everywhere, and some monsters are like pretty dark. and
sometimes they don't solve them either. Like sometimes it's like, this guy just
when I
away with it.
started listening to the show, it was a streak of episodes where they did solve them. So I just assumed that these were all episodes, like the show just they had a resolution to every one. And it finally got to an episode. Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh good, like there was justice, or they found out who did it. And then it was like the 6th or 7th episode or something I listened to, and it ended and they never found the guy. And I was like, wait, what? Like this was unsolved, and just no, this was really bad. Like there has to be justice for this. And it's just like learning about injustices is it's depressing. Like Landon put it the right way. It's it's a depressing thing. So I don't know why I listen to the show, because it is really depressing. It's just interesting, I guess. It does pass the time really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me appreciate that I'm not dead yet. So there's that. But it does make me weary when I'm driving and I see someone,
and some
stopped on the side of the road. I'm like, who? Yeah. Some of them are very.
Body in the back of that truck. Like,
Yeah, you can have
sort of makes you question.
And anyway, so it's a roundabout way to say, Landon's been driving a lot, and he has
Yeah.
time to listen to podcasts and listen to music.
I can even
get
sometimes, if I don't listen
Yeah.
to something, if I'm in like the right mood where I'm just like, I want to think, and like the scenery is nice, like that's what I'll say about Montana. The scenery is gorgeous. Driving to all these different
Yeah.
places, like,
I was
it's
gonna-
so beautiful.
I was gonna ask,
I'm
how is
actually
the
really
area?
jealous. Yeah, I'm actually really jealous.
It's
of you.
beautiful. I drove through Missoula to get here, and Missoula, Montana is just so beautiful. And then I've driven from Great Falls to Great Falls isn't as pretty, but the drive from Great Falls to Helena, oh, it's so beautiful. It's just so many mountains and trees and like windy roads through it's been very sketchy sometimes.
Now tell me this: if you had to choose what was a nicer place, would you say Great Falls or would you say Tri-Cities, Washington?
Great Falls, Great Falls.
So, would you rather live in Great Falls or Tri-Cities?
So that is tough though, because I don't like the cold, and it gets very cold in Great Falls, and it's very windy.
Oh, it's so windy.
I think I would, out of all the three places in Montana that I've been in, I think Missoula. I think I would like living in Missoula, because I talked to the guy that works in Missoula, and he says it gets significantly less cold there, and then it's less windy, and it's mostly just rainy sometimes. So
Isn't there more people too?
yeah, it's a bigger city. It's a little bit more what's the term? It's more of a liberal town, but also more I think it's more advanced.
What's a college town too? It's bigger. There's younger people.
I might not be the gunslinger if I lived in Missoula. I might have to hang the guns up if I moved
Hang
there.
them up.
You'd be the common shop
Social-
owner that
social
ducks
justice
behind the counter
warrior.
in the shootout.
I'd switch to SJW, grow a man bun.
Can you imagine Landon with a man bun?
Oh, I just pictured it, and
It's disgusting.
Wasn't bad,
So
actually.
gross. Wait, what?
What?
no, it was a disturbing image. But hey, Landon, if I had to choose right now, if I could have a man bun versus what my hair looks like now, I would choose what my hair looks like now, because man buns are disgusting. Anyway, so Landon,
What's funny? You know what's funny? If you've ever seen what Dave's hair looks like now, you might be a little surprised.
yeah. That's not most. I think most people would say that. But Dave has probably 20 something hairs on his head. So
hey, but the way they're spaced out, you can't.
See
It's a
any
work of
them.
art.
So, yeah.
It's a work of art.
no, I'm not saying it looks bad.
Anyway, Landon is enjoying Montana, so that's good. Hopefully he comes back to Washington at some point, because his friends miss him. And now that Landon's gone, the other people aren't going to do anything, because, who's going to plan?
Well, that's what we do. Yeah, we wait.
Who's going to plan stuff? Big thing this week, but much hotly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077 CD Projekt Red game. So Landon and Will, you purchased the game, correct? I actually have not bought the game yet, but Will, you have started the game and are well into it.
Yeah, I'm about 18 hours in. Just to the game came out, I think 3 or 4 days ago, depending on where you live. And I am 18 hours in. I've gotten a good part of the first part of the main quest.
Okay.
So what are your first impressions then of the game? So far what I've seen from reports is that it's a little heavy on the graphical needs for if you're playing on a computer, and that it's actually not performing very well graphically performing well on consoles, just due to those heavy needs that are. But actually regarding story and stuff like that, I haven't looked into, because I don't want to get too spoiled.
Spoiled.
Yeah,
spoilers.
but what are your first impressions with the game, with the gameplay, even with the graphics and stuff like that?
Okay, so first and foremost, the game is a buggy mess, even when I'm playing on PC with an SSD. So for those that don't know, an SSD is more cutting edge and faster than what is in most consoles. So that's why it runs better on PC. But it still has a lot of graphical issues. Every 30 minutes, I get a glitch or a bug or something along the lines of that. I've had a random person from the city just spawn inside my vehicle, and my vehicle's a motorcycle, so they're half sticking out of the motorcycle, and they're just like, yeah, what do you want? Like talking some basic like city dialogue to me, and I can't even get in my motorcycle.
That sounds just like Roach though in The Witcher 3, right?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. But another thing is like characters will randomly like do this T-pose, which if you don't know what a T-pose is, it's this almost standard non-animation of what video game characters sometimes do when they just spawn in. They're like basic graphical like foundations, and so some characters will just randomly T-pose and their lips won't move and they'll still talk, and it's really immersion breaking. And even if you look past all these bugs, the main story I like so far, but that's all I'll say about it because I don't want to spoil anything. But besides that, the game actually isn't very good.
Like just because of the glitches, like how about gameplay? Like do you enjoy the gameplay when it works?
I don't actually enjoy the gameplay that much. It's pretty.
Oh, okay.
So the shooter elements, like, so it's a shooter. It's a first-person shooter. Shooter elements are okay. But my biggest gripe is the side missions, and I don't want to say too much. But the only thing I'll say is that I keep finding these question marks around the city of like, oh, who knows what you'll discover, and it's this. There's only once where it's not the same exact thing every time, where you go into an enemy hideout, you press and hold a button on something, and then you leave the hideout. It's the same exact thing every single time so far. Now, I'm to be fair, I'm 18 hours in, and it's not terrible, but it's probably like a 7 out of 10 cookie cutter open world video game so far.
This comes from the guy that hated The Last of Us Part 2, so, take all this with a grain of salt.
And who couldn't finish The Witcher 3, right?
Yeah, he couldn't, so...
And hated Red Dead 2.
We're just ragging on you. Just keep going, Will. None of us have played the game, so we have no right to talk.
I think,
keep going.
Of what I played of Witcher 3, I never got around to finishing it because other things came up. It's one of those games that you really should finish. But I enjoyed the side quests because when you go to a side quest, you never know what's going to happen, right? So there could be some crazy story twist. It could be just a basic quest, and it could be like of the side quests in Witcher 3. I've done like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 10 of them, and maybe like 3 or 4 have turned out really interesting, which is a pretty good rate for Cyberpunk. I've done maybe 20 or 25 side quests with one of them being really interesting. So. And despite all this, the game's still actually pretty fun, just because of the general like gameplay cycle that you do. But the quests and the world are a little underwhelming.
How does the shooting feel?
It's fine. It feels like most like Destiny. Like if you've ever.
Oh no! Don't say that. I hate Destiny's shooting.
Like it's less floaty. It's more grounded.
Okay.
It's the gunplay feels like Destiny. So the actual like when you click guns, the recoil like. There's numbers that pop up when you shoot somebody. Like there's like it's.
You can probably turn that off though, right?
You can probably turn it off in display. But for me, it's very like it's just your typical first-person shooter gameplay. Where things get interesting is the cool weapons that you can acquire, and I haven't gotten any cool weapons because I'm actually not that far in the game. I've just been messing around mostly. So we'll see how my impressions change over time. We're talking to my best friend of 16 years named Oliver. He's already beaten the game. So, and he says it gets much better later, like the side quests and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens.
That's a hot take though, because there was,
this game was
is
hyped
the most
up.
hype I've ever seen around a video game ever.
Yes, and it's a hot take, but I think it's one that's not gonna be
Colby must not for
unpopular.
Snacks.
I think that my opinion is gonna be. I think my opinion is gonna be actually pretty common among a lot of people, and that it's like in the 7 to 8 out of 10 range.
I'm gonna wait till they because I bought it for PS4 and
wait till they patch it out a bit more.
Yeah, I have a PS4 Pro, which I've heard it runs a little bit better on, but I got other things to play, and if it's even kind of broken on PC, I'll wait till I get a PS5 probably, and they have like the native PS5 version. So just because I have other things to do, and I like CD Projekt Red enough to know that I knew I was going to buy the game just because The Witcher 3 was so good.
I think like my one takeaway from it is if you're going to play the game, play it for the main story.
Are you glad then that you have a PC capable to play it then, Will, instead of
very
playing
glad
it on console?
If I were to play it on console, I don't think I'd be able. I think I'd be really mad right now. I'd be really
it seems
upset.
Like, from what I see, like PS4, like base PS4 before So on the 1.02 patch, I think, because they've had a one since then, but like Digital Foundry did like a video like breaking it down, and like it seems like it runs pretty like 18 frames a second. Like it almost never reaches 30, and like there's a lot of clipping and like screen tear and
my goodness,
like textures not popping in at all. Like
so like if you ever remember like those like when we play Call of Duty, Colby and Landon, sometimes the characters at the very end of this game mode when they're in the helicopter, they'll look like mannequins without faces.
Like
PS1
PS1
for like 2 seconds. Like PS1 characters for like 2 seconds. You can find characters that look like this like on the PS4 version like I don't know every hour, and they're just sitting there and they just don't load in.
Gosh.
I think
That's
the most
terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. The most interesting thing about this to me is the business practices that CD Projekt Red has been using for the reviews of the game.
Well, they didn't give out console copies, right?
They didn't give out console copies, and not only that, they didn't allow PC reviewers to use their own gameplay.
What do you mean?
What?
To review the game?
To review the game, to show in their reviews, they only said, yeah, you can only use what we give you.
Oh, that's a red flag.
It's a huge red flag. Yeah.
Like they wouldn't allow captures from
No, they
the
wouldn't allow
reviewers.
game capture of the game at all. It's just like, no.
Was that for pre-release reviews? Like what about, I mean, after the game is released?
They said, yeah, after the game
whatever.
is released, you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
But until the game comes out, you cannot use any of your own gameplay, which is unheard of. Even like The Last of Us Part 2, which launched with like the most insane restrictions on the game.
Which is funny because that game was technically released months before it was really released, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm just glad the whole story didn't leak for Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but yeah, like it's insane how the internet is imploding over it. I think the Metacritic on Cyberpunk 2077 for PS4 and Xbox One has like a 2.7 or a 2.1.
A
or
user score?
Like that. User score, yeah.
Well, you can't like The Last of Us Part 2 had like a 3 like user score. Like,
Well, Will would agree though that the game was trash, right?
I don't know, one game of the year at the Game Awards. Let's go.
Wait, did it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2 one. Yeah.
Oh, Game Awards were this week, right?
Yeah.
I probably should I mean, I guess I don't follow that kind of stuff. So, does someone else want to talk about the Game Awards? Because I
watched.
I guess that was probably relevant to
all I
our
cared
interests,
about was that Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year.
I think
so. It won the most awards.
Yeah, so regarding Last of Us Part 2, Last of Us Part 2 was a huge fan with a lot of the critics, and the critics make up 90% of the final votes for all of the categories. So the player voting is only 1 out of 10. And
That's fine by me.
just
So I have a question then. Is it the critics vote for the awards, or they use the reviews from the outlets?
They vote.
They vote for the
Okay.
awards. So a lot of people are very unhappy with Last of Us Part 2 winning. I really don't care because it's like, oh, cool, good for them. Like, and as much as I have some problems with the game, like it's like I would have rather seen other games win. But it's
what else was
wasn't-
nominated? Like Ghost of
wasn't
Tsushima, or
yeah, people were saying Ghost of Tsushima should have won. Like that game is like not even.
I think the 5 other
Doesn't even
nominations:
hold a candle.
Ghost of Tsushima, Doom Eternal,
Doom
Animal
Eternal.
Crossing's New Horizons, Hades, which I heard was really
I've
good.
heard Hades
and
is really good. Actually,
I heard Hades is fantastic.
Yeah, I've
and then
heard
Final
great things
Fantasy
about that
VII
game.
Remake was the last one, which I would say probably I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet, or Hades, or Doom Eternal, and so I played half of them. I'd say Final Fantasy VII Remake was my favorite out of all.
I mean, if I had to choose my game of the year of 2020, it would be a game that didn't come out in 2020, but it would be Divinity: Original Sin 2.
Stop.
You know, I mean,
Dave,
when
you
I
need to
think of
calm
the
down.
what?
You need to calm down.
I was happy Last of Us Part 2 won, and then because the haters like died over it, and then I think it's funny like that the voice actress for Abby won Best Performance. So
Yeah, I really like Laura Bailey, so who's the voice
yeah,
actress behind?
I would have still given it to Ellie, but like the haters were weeping.
Haters,
The haters
gonna hate.
got her.
You know, it's kind of interesting that you thrive off the hate, Landon. Like that's kind of a Colby-esque thing to do. Like,
I think
Well,
Landon's
like-
joking. I don't think he actually thrives
like,
off the hate.
I
Now,
don't.
Colby
I just.
actually thrives off the hate.
Well, I'm just
I
saying,
know.
like there was some people
Landon
were.
makes
I was
hate
joking
and he
too.
crumbles.
Like people were terrible to that voice actress. Like
oh
people
yeah,
were,
she did.
People like
That's why I'm happy that
Yeah.
Abby won, is because, or Abby's actress won, because she was literally getting death threats over a performance in a video game. She was getting death threats for people because, like, spoiler alert, spoiler. I'm not going to spoil it, actually, just because it's not a spoiler cast. But just because of certain actions that character takes in the video game pretty early on, they just cannot get past that.
So
And
they gave
people
her
can't.
death threats?
Yeah, they seriously sent her like terrible things.
Landon, was that you? Was it you?
No. I literally was just saying that I was like happy that she won because like
It was Will. I mean, if we know anyone who's going to send death threats to voice actress, it's going to be Will.
The
So
video-
No.
yeah.
I'm not like listen.
we're
like,
joking.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Like,
I know you're. I was gonna make a joke myself, but all right, whatever.
no, Will, you're not allowed to make jokes.
yeah.
The video game community in general is like a bunch of
Stop you.
toxic like morons. So the fact that like
Yeah,
Well,
that's one thing
we
that kind
are.
of makes me not interested about the Game Awards is stuff like that. I feel like it is kind of a joke in a sense, but I mean,
It's fun to have like awards.
I guess,
but
yeah,
it's,
that's
I stopped taking it seriously like a couple years ago.
yeah. Well, so we're just going to take a quick break, but we will be back in just a minute to talk some more about probably some more video games, and then some more, and then we're going to talk about some Star Wars stuff too. So
We'll
stick
be
with
right
us.
back.
Stick with us, people. And welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us.
We're back.
Dang it.
So I just before we move on to our next topic, I just wanted to ask Will. So one of the things about Cyberpunk was the life paths. There were 3 options that you could do. You could be basically a corporate person. You can be a nomad, someone who started outside of the city who comes in, or you could be was it like a street kid?
Street rat.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, street rat. And then you work your way up. How has that been? Like, what did you choose, and how is that going, at least in the game so far?
Yeah, so I chose Corpo, which with Corpo, without saying
Company
too much,
man.
it's you start as a company man, and I think the opening segment was about 30 minutes for me, and then I went right into the main quest. You can kind of tell when it's like, oh, you're just going on to this normal story, and the main elements of life paths come into like what dialogues you can make. Like if you're Corpo, you get exclusive Corpo dialogue options, and you get exclusive Corpo romance options, and that's really about it. I haven't come across where my actual life path origin matters much in the story going forward, which is kind of a
really?
little disappointing. Yeah. So literally, like, there's no, like, the only thing that there's only additional dialogue options and missions where you can just be like, oh, I know a bunch about the corporate, so I'm going to choose this dialogue option. And then you'll have a quick conversation about the politics of giant corporations. And then it'll progress in, like, a new way.
So what you're saying is CD Projekt Red should have made The Witcher 4?
I'm not gonna say that fully, because one, I think the game's more an alpha than it is in anything.
That's what it sounds like from
Yeah.
from what you were describing
Yeah.
and everything I've read so far. It really does sound like the game is still in something like alpha.
the game's one, the
Yeah.
game's an alpha, and 2, I haven't beaten the game yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be later on the characters from the life path show up that you were introduced to, and it'd be like, okay, this is really cool because I have exclusive endings I can get with my life path. But so far, it's just you're on this, it's like a reverse fork where there's like these really short prongs, all 3 really short prongs. They come together pretty quickly, and then you're just on a straight path.
It's kind of a bummer.
It is
Yeah.
kind of a bummer, and this is why I say that the game's still fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm having a good time going around and doing main quest stuff. It's basic 7.5 out of 10 open world game so far.
If we know CD Projekt Red, though, they will probably make it better. down the
Hopefully, hopefully it can get fleshed out or fixed at some point. But yeah, if it will be a disappointment for sure if they kind of don't remedy this situation, because this was something. Yeah, you were talking earlier about it being very hyped up game, Colby. One of the most hyped games in a long time for sure, especially because it's been in development for so long. But anyway, hopefully they'll kind of get on top of it. I haven't purchased the game yet. I will get it at some point, but I probably will not get it for at least till next year for sure. Plus, I'm behind on games. I still got to play Ghost of Tsushima, Doom Eternal,
Persona 5.
Yeah. I got to finish Persona 5. I did. Oh, okay. This is what last couple episodes haven't talked about it yet, but this is a game every once in a while we talk about, Bloodborne.
We talked about this.
No,
I'm
we
pretty
have
sure we talked
not
about this.
No,
we have.
No.
We definitely talked about it on the last
this.
episode.
No, we didn't. I just edited the last episode right before we did this episode.
No, we
did
definitely
not
need
talk
to move
about
on. We
Bloodborne.
definitely talked about it. We need to move on. We definitely talked about it. We need to move on.
Now, so Bloodborne is a game that we mention every once in a while, specifically Landon and myself, because we both love this game. It's an absolute blast of a game that is extremely difficult.
Yeah, I don't like it anymore. Too hard.
Okay. Well, we can talk about something else.
It's cool.
then.
It's cool, but too hard for me. I'm not good enough at
It's
games.
a really hard game that it was a game that I would revisit every once in a while, every few years, because I'd get stuck and I could not move further in the game. So I finally decided to tackle the game one more time, and I was able to beat the game. And it is definitely up there as, I would say, one of my favorite games. After you get over the hump, the world and the story is so worth it. But it is a hard game. I would say it is too hard. I'm not one of those people that's like, if you're not good enough to play the game, then you shouldn't be playing it. As someone who beat the game, I got the platinum trophy too, which I'm a little like, if I had to pick a trophy I'm proud of most, it would be the Bloodborne platinum.
Let me guess. You brought this up just to flout your trophy list,
did.
huh?
He did.
I think the game really should have difficulty options, because it's such a great game, but it is so
inaccessible,
which is funny, because when I started reading about it, one thing in development, they basically wanted to make this game more accessible than the Dark Souls games. And so the intention was that it was supposed to be easier. And the creators of the game kind of consider it to be easier and more accessible than the Dark Souls games, which I can't speak to that a lot because I haven't played much of Dark Souls. But what's that sound, Landon?
That's water.
But
from the ice machine. I'm sorry.
But the game, I really think either should be a little bit easier, or just offer difficulty levels, because it bums me out that Landon probably will not continue, because once I got back into the game, I was talking about it constantly, because I wanted someone else to play it, to talk about it with, and it's such a fun game. I mean, I would honestly consider it like maybe a top 20, maybe top 10 game. It's
game of all time.
Yeah, it's one of those games that too, I will go back to at some point and play again, because I enjoyed it that much. And as soon as I beat the game, all I really wanted to do was keep playing the game. There are not a lot of games that are like that for me, but I'm glad I went back to it, because if someone asked me a couple months ago if I was ever going to go back and beat Bloodborne, I would have laughed and said no, I can't. It's too hard. I would love to, but I can't.
That's where I'm at.
But
I can't.
But see, here's the thing: is I am really bad at games, and
worse.
Landon is better at me than video games.
Worse,
so
worse,
I think Landon, I think Landon can get back on that Bloodborne train, and if I can get the platinum, we know for sure that Landon could.
No, you've got some platinums that I would never even attempt to get.
No. See, Landon is the platinum king.
No.
And
no, I'm a fake and a fraud.
Before we started today, didn't I make a joke about how
fake
you
and
guys
a
should just
fraud.
talk about your trophies?
Get back here,
forever?
coward.
I just know that we've mentioned the games throughout the years. We've mentioned the game throughout the years, and it's one that whenever I think about it, I'm like, man, I really like the game. I wish I didn't suck so bad that I could play it. So anyway.
are you without a sense of meaning now in your life? Now that you've
I
Bloodborne,
reached Nirvana. Enlightenment is. I am complete now. That actually
You're right with Jesse in beating in Nirvana.
Well, Jesse actually, former host of the show, he did beat the game, but he actually chose the ending that basically you don't fight the last boss. So there's a dialogue option.
Are you kidding me?
There's a dialogue option where you can choose not to fight the last boss. Jesse chose that one and
And I
didn't
know
actually
he knew
fight.
what he was doing.
Oh yeah, he did. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
he did because when he was playing the game and got to that point, he asked all of us. He was saying, "What should I do?" And I think he wanted to just do that, which that's fine. I still count that as beating the game, because the game, it goes to credits and everything. But I know there's deep down inside, like there's
But
part
there's
of
an
them.
asterisk.
That's like getting the bad ending. That's getting like the bad ending in like 999 or something like that.
Oh,
which is a
absolutely!
game
In
that
this
has,
game, that is the bad ending. Yeah.
Well, like Far Cry 4, like that'd be like if at the start of the game you just didn't move, and
Yeah,
then like
you can-
15
yeah.
minutes rolls by, you get the credits. Do you still beat the game? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, technically, yeah. I like that they put
you
that
didn't
in that
play
game.
the game. You got played yourself.
Because what is it? The
Yeah.
guy tells you, he's like, don't leave this room. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
and then,
he's like, don't
if
leave
you
this
just
room, I'll
don't,
be right back.
yeah, if you just don't leave, like he comes back, he's like, oh man, thanks for waiting, like, and then you like beat the
Yeah,
game.
and then like the bad guy is now like the good guy.
Yeah.
Is that like a funny little Easter? Do you get a
Yeah, it's a
trophy
hit.
for it?
It's just you get the trophy for beating the game, I think. Like,
Wait, seriously?
yeah,
I should buy Far Cry 4 then.
get a quick gold.
I've still got
Gold
Landon's
trophy.
hard copy if you want it.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Colby doesn't give my games back.
I like to
Yeah.
borrow Landon's games and then keep them.
Yeah, how
I'm
many?
pretty
of,
sure Colby has like 2 or 3 of Landon's
I was gonna say,
games, right?
how many
Three.
of your games does he
Three.
have right now, Landon?
3.
Far Cry 4, Jedi Fallen Order, and The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Which, thanks, dude. I didn't expect you to buy me the Steelbook either.
Speaking of Jedi Fallen Order, there's actually been a lot of Star Wars stuff specifically this week. But yeah. So before we get into that, though, we can talk a little bit about Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
Landon and Colby and I are all caught up, which is a bummer because
Yeah.
the last couple of episodes have had some heavy stuff.
They're great.
And Will is behind.
So the plan is to watch 6, 7, and 8 this week, and so I watch 8 right as it comes out. So that
Well, I
way
mean,
it's,
you could just watch 6, 7, and then watch 8 right when it comes out.
Dude, I watched like 5
but
episodes
then it's not fun.
yesterday.
It's not fun because then it's like, oh
I've
man,
enjoyed-
I gotta wait for 8.
I've enjoyed doing the weekly thing. It's
Yeah.
it's just nice.
I've enjoyed watching it on my own time because like.
But then we
leading up
can't
to
talk
now-
about it very well on the podcast, Will, and that's what's
okay,
most
I'm
important.
Sorry. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry.
The podcast trumps all.
Yeah.
It comes first. Trump?
Trump.
Sorry, the podcast Biden's all.
Oh.
Okay, so Will, what was the last Mandalorian episode then you saw? Because I don't want to spoil some stuff for you because I want you to
Mandalorian
experience that on your own time. But
on my own time. Episode 5, spoilers starting now, the one where they go and they find Ahsoka Tano and they do a little like save the village kind of thing there. And the kid's name is Grongu.
no, it's Grogu.
Grogu.
Grogu. Sorry. Grogu. So and the kid
Will's such a poser. He hasn't seen any of
Did you just
Mandalorian.
Google baby Yoda name, Will? Like,
that better be the episode title is Grongu.
Grongu.
But yeah, so apparently the kid's name is Grogu, and he's gonna have to go to this mountain or whatever, this like old temple, and like connect with a Jedi or something like that. So and like I'm thinking of like, okay, if he does that, I haven't seen episode 6 yet. If he does that, or maybe it's in 7, I don't know. If he does that, like who like besides Ahsoka is a Jedi that's still alive? There's nobody, right? Besides Luke at that
Cal
time.
Kestis.
Who?
Cal from Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
BD Stim.
Yeah. I hate Cal Kestis so much.
So annoying.
Give you some help, Edie. What'd you find there? Like,
Okay, so how do you guys? I thought that was I thought the name thing was a fairly big reveal. I mean, I know we're a little behind the curve on this one, but
I don't know what the significance of Grogu is.
no, I just think the significance of finally telling the audience what his name is.
oh, and the fact that he was like clearly able to actually like communicate with.
Yeah, because
Ahsoka Tano.
that was really
Yeah, that was interesting.
interesting that they were able to communicate that way, and you kind of learn a little bit more about the character. I love as soon as Mando learns his name, every time he says it, and he like looks at him.
Yeah,
The look. Yeah. I think this isn't a spoiler, but at the beginning of the next episode, Will, Mando's just saying his name over and over again. They're flying, and then he goes Grogu, and Grogu will turn to Mando, and Mando goes, It was so funny.
Like, he'll wait for Grogu to start like playing with something, and then he'll say it again.
Yeah. I don't think that it's like that breaking that they gave him a name. I think people actually will still probably refer to him mostly as Baby Yoda in the fandom, just because of that. Kind of like we know Mando's name, but
Pedro.
What's his character's name from Game of Thrones? The Viper.
Oberyn Martell.
Oberyn Martell. So like I feel like people are still gonna probably probably call him Baby Yoda in the fans. I still call him Baby Yoda. Because, I mean, Grogu's kind of a weird name, but, he's an alien person, so that's fine.
I think it'd be better if the real fans start calling him Grogu, so, like, the morons on Facebook sharing the
the dumb
memes. Yeah, the stupid, like, just the dumb, Grogu? Me on my way to work, like, here's a Baby Yoda meme to, like, it's like, shut up, you moron. Like,
it's like, when I'm sick, and then he throws up, like.
It's like, what? Like.
I think the rise of Baby Yoda memes are the worst thing to happen to memes so far.
Since the Minion memes.
Since
like
maybe
stupid,
that's a good point.
And if it weren't for the last two Star Wars movies, we could say that it was the worst thing about Star Wars in the last few years as well. But we can't. So
they should totally. I wish they could like actually erase those movies.
And start over.
No. How much more interesting would it be if like the next three movies didn't like the sequel trilogy didn't exist and all we knew of like what was happening was like the stuff we were getting in like Mando. Like,
that'd be great.
Imagine how much more awesome that would be. You're like,
we're like the New Republic, and we're like, but there's still like empirical remnants.
And they're like,
there's
Moff Gideon, and then we know that there's like Thrawns out there. Like it's like, ooh.
Here's the issue like
and
that I have.
Baby Yoda named Grongu.
It's just that now that I know that like there's something bigger going on, and so I'm really interested to see what the Mandalorian is going to do to separate itself from this big giant overall galactic save the world kind of thing. Well, because that's what the new trilogy is about, and so I'm really excited, and I hope it goes places that to where we're not expecting.
Well, and so far it really has. I mean, this is kind
I'm
of
not
like
saying it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying
which is nice because like
you are, dude.
Because dang it, Colby. Because like when they do name drop Thrawn in that episode that Will was just talking about, and that it sounds like probably will be much more applicable to the show that is Ahsoka's show. That probably won't be touched on much in this one, in Mandalorian. But just recently, they I don't know if they like it was new announcements or confirmed all of these Star Wars shows, but they did. They talked a little bit about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which there was new confirmation of someone going to be on that.
Hayden Christensen, right?
Christensen, that's
dude.
Awesome.
I'm so excited.
That is amazing.
It's such a redemptions like.
And I think like I'm pretty sure that they're going to battle it out again in this show. Like we're going to have another Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan.
They have to, and it'd be the first time we would see Darth Vader actually like fight like awesome. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Oh yeah, because all we've seen is like amazing Rogue One, like just absolutely obliterate like all these like scaredy rebels that are just like open fire, and then they all just get sliced to pieces. But I'm really excited to see like an actual lightsaber because I haven't watched Rebels yet, and there is some cool saber fights in Rebels, I think, but other than that, we haven't seen Darth Vader on like in a big live action way fight another lightsaber user in a good way since 1980 something.
And his fight with Luke is, both his fights with Luke, while iconic, are not,
Right. Not,
hey,
they're
whoa.
No, I
they're
think
not as good as the one against Obi-Wan.
It's not the Yoda Count Dooku fight.
Oh yes. Can't wait till Grogu does that in Mando.
Start spinning around
versus Moff Gideon.
He'll just be using force powers to shoot the little ball all over the place.
Yeah.
So there's the Ahsoka show, which will probably have Thrawn as the antagonist, so that'll be interesting. Who is big. Originally he was extended universe stuff, and now he is because he was in Rebels, right? Okay, so yeah, he will most likely be big bad of that. Another show was Rangers of the New Republic. I don't think there's many details on that, but that'll probably take place around the same time as Mandalorian.
It said
it's
concurrent
guess, right?
with Mando, so I would assume. I don't want to say some stuff from the next. I assume I know a couple of probably the main or regular cast members. or characters on that.
Is it that chubby like X-wing fighter? Like
no, I don't think so.
That'd be hilarious. Like
Wait, the one who let Mando go?
yeah.
Rangers of the New Republic just flying around saving everyone in the known galaxy.
It'd be great if we got like 24-minute episodes of just like
Rangers is the
saving
Star
somebody.
Wars sitcom. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
could you imagine a Star Wars sitcom? Oh,
with a laugh track.
that would be so bad.
I can't see. My visor's getting fogged up.
Andor, which is about Cassian Andor, Rogue One main / supporting character. It probably is a prequel to Rogue One.
A prequel.
But he was an excellent character in that movie. He was really fun to watch. I thought he was a good kind of spiritual successor to Han Solo. In a sense.
Wouldn't he be a spiritual predecessor?
I mean, yes, but I meant like in the in the chronology of releases, he would be a spiritual successor.
I think everybody knew what David meant.
Except Landon. Gunslinger Landon is not very bright. He's taken a few too many sake bombs.
Sake bomb.
So that show should be interesting, and that'll probably be like, is it just gonna be basically terrorist rebels tearing through the galaxy? I can see that show being very interesting. Let's see what else.
Yeah, I think the one I'm most excited for is the Acolyte one.
Oh yeah, so there's the Acolyte, which is some sort of Phantom Menace prequel. What I saw is that it's supposed to take place about 100 years before that. So what interests you about that one?
It's a political drama, I think.
Game of Thrones.
It's more about like the politics, and one of the
trade
things, the prequel trilogy was
blockades.
The politics. I think that one has the most potential to be good, and also the most potential to be really, really bad. Like that's the one that'll swing like the pendulum. Like that's the one that can swing the most. Like I'm pretty sure like the all the ones like the Ahsoka Tano one, I'm like very confident that's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a lot of confidence that a lot of these are going to be good. That one I think has the most potential, and also it could be very.
So
bad.
could you see the Acolyte almost like Deep Space Nine-esque show, kind of, where it's
essentially. I've never seen Deep Space Nine but from what I've heard, that's probably some of the most debatably the most interesting Star Trek because of all it's like the other side of the coin to the Next Generation.
It's funny because last week Landon was talking about what he likes in sci-fi and kind of like smaller character stuff, and my thought after, because when I was editing the episode, it made me think of Deep Space Nine, and that it would be probably a show that Landon would enjoy. If that's the type of sci-fi he really likes the most, because it's not big saving the world stories like you see in some of the in other sci-fi shows. Deep Space Nine is a lot more kind of.
Is that a Star Trek then?
Mm-hmm.
Deep Space?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes place on a space station.
Around the same time as Next Generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Acolyte, yeah, that does sound very interesting. I agree with you that the potential is definitely there. I could see it, but easily not working out as well. But so far, I think the Star Wars properties that have been, I mean, I guess we've only had Mandalorian, really, but it's a toss-up. You know, I won't say that I have. We'll see. We'll see. I will keep my breath held on a lot of these shows. Star Wars really is hit and miss, I guess. Another couple of shows, there was the Bad Batch, which looks like is some type of Clone Wars spinoff. I don't know much about Clone Wars, so I won't talk a lot about it. I don't know if you guys know much about it. But
I've been meaning to watch it for years.
I need to watch Clone Wars so that I can, because I've heard great things about it. And then the other one is Visions, which is like an animated anthology story that could be really interesting. I like anthology shows because you kind of get a good deep dive into these different worlds that you wouldn't see otherwise, because they're able to kind of have these self-contained stories. So
Star Wars Black Mirror.
Yeah, Star Wars Black Mirror. Oh, sorry, one more. There's the Lando show. The Mandalorian, I think, is what Will joked about before we started
and
recording.
the Rogue Squadron movie. They're gonna make a Rogue Squadron.
Oh, we didn't get to the movies yet. We're just talking about the shows, Landon.
Okay.
Calm down.
Come on,
Landon, you spoiled it.
Gosh,
You spoiled it.
You suck.
gunslinged. I drew a little fast. I was a little fast in the draw there. Sorry.
So, for a Lando show, are we thinking that would be young Lando?
I would prefer
not.
young.
I hope not.
Wait,
I hope it's
really?
Billy D. Williams running around.
No.
Talking about all his capes and such.
I would like Donald Glover back, young Lando.
I could enjoy him kind of taking up that mantle, and I think he did a good job in the Solo movie. We didn't kind of get enough time to flesh him out. Plus, he was so established already as a character from Billy D. Williams that it would be kind of cool to see him play more Lando.
And I'm fine if they do. I mean, it can be in the same timeline as Mando, because he went, Donald Glover could probably play.
Oh yeah, they just slap some stuff on his face, make him look old.
A little older. I mean, he wouldn't have to be super old. Just
yeah. And so, as Landon also mentioned, there were some movies that they talked about. I think the one you're most excited for is the Rogue Squadron movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm just they said it's not based on the games, but like my favorite part, like one of my favorite parts about the Star Wars movies are always the space combat scenes, like with the starfighters. So if there's a whole movie based on that, I would assume almost all of it would be like space engagements and stuff. That sounds just really, really fun.
Yeah.
So
Dogfight the show.
Yeah, just dogfighting and see your favorite pilots get blown up, and cry, and be sad.
Okay.
I didn't really play the Rogue Squadron games. You played those quite a bit?
I played one of them. I played the crap out of one of them on the computer. I played it so much, like way too much. It's so fun.
Was that young
never did,
Landon's
no.
introduction to video games?
One of them. The graphics are so bad, looking back on it, but it was...
Well, yeah, looking back, but in the moment, you were like, oh my god.
Well, it was also one of those games, like, I was so bad at playing games that, like, there was 16 missions in the game, and then, like, 3 bonus ones. So you unlocked the bonus missions, like, so if you got all 16 missions, like, they ranked you on they had, like, scores for each mission. Mm-hmm. So you had to have, like, every mission, like, a bronze score to get the first bonus mission, and then everyone silver, and then everyone gold to get the last mission. But I was so bad at the game that, like, for, like, I think at least a year or two, I couldn't even get past the 3rd mission. It was, like, you had to use snow speeders and, like, trip up the walkers, like they do in Empire. Strikes Back.
Is
Maybe
this
you
Rogue Squadron
can't.
2?
Maybe you can't. Beat
No, it's just
Bloodborne
Rogue
then.
Squadron. I think it's just
Okay, because I played Rogue Squadron 2, and that game is hard.
Yeah.
It's not that it's that I don't think you were super bad at the game. You might have been bad at the game. I don't know.
I was
But the
just
game's
young.
Also
I was
really difficult. The game
yeah,
really
it was-
is-
yeah.
especially if you're young, because you don't really have a good
Coordination.
coordination. You don't have a good grasp of dog fighting, and at least I didn't really when I was young know like a lot about like some good things to do dog fighting, space, like plane movement. I was always better moving on the ground because
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
It's-
the
young minds are
camera,
stupid.
the camera angle when you would engage the the hook to trip them, like the camera angle was terrible. It switched to like a different camera angle, and you would have to like do several laps. And I don't know why Colby's doing something weird, but
We'll just ignore him.
trip
What?
trip them down. Never mind. So I'm just excited for that movie.
That'll be good. Did they say when that's gonna? Oh, Christmas 2023.
Oh, that's still 3 years away.
3 years out.
That's. So is that the next Star Wars movie then?
Probably.
Guess so. I don't like.
I feel like, I mean, I know that now, like, with all the announcement of all the shows and the movies, now they kind of have a game plan. It seems weird that this wasn't earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, they purchased the franchise in 2012, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, they did start the new trilogy. They got that first movie
Which
out
that should've never
2015.
happened.
But
Should've never happened.
I feel like there was no game plan there. They just churned
No.
those out. But like, I feel like it's taken a long time for them to kind of get this framework for something that, I mean, you have one of the most prolific IPs of all time, and they're just taking their time with it, I guess.
They wasted it. They wasted a lot of it. They ruined the original trilogy. Basically, they ruined like the original story. Yeah.
The old one where it's like like they literally like the first 3 trilogy, and then like in the 5th one of that of that series in the original X-Men series, they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna erase the existence of the 3rd film, and we're just gonna the whole plot is writing a new storyline. Like that's just basically the whole plot, and it's great. It's like
And then
the best
didn't
X-Men movie.
they ruin the end of the next trilogy of X-Men though? Like I heard like the last one they made was terrible.
Yeah, the next one's terrible, but we don't talk about that. It's like history repeats itself. Like,
Gosh.
Yeah.
okay, well, other Star Wars movie, they didn't talk a lot about it. Is the Taika Waititi movie, but there's very little details on that. He's been a little bit involved with Mandalorian. I think he directed one of the episodes,
And then voiced.
and then he voiced IG
Something,
11, the killer bot in the first episode. So I mean, I have a lot of faith in him as a creative. So that one I'm excited for, but there's like no details on that, so I don't know what that's going to be about.
Not a lot to get hyped, I think, from the movie standpoint. Just
I
because
guess, yeah.
Rogue Squadron is so far away.
Yeah, and if they give a release for Rogue Squadron but haven't for the Taika Waititi movie, I mean, I have to say that one is probably going to be well after that one. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's years off most likely. Yes, Star Wars is weird. I mean, I feel like they have this golden goose and they don't know what to do with it. Really. I mean, they're trying. I think Mandalorian has been a good success story-wise. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think they've had a lot of missteps with the other movies. And then they've had some successes with like Rogue One, but I think like things like Solo, like it was okay, but I think overall I was not a huge fan of that movie. I like the acting in the movie, but
I liked it. I
thought it was
fine,
too
but-
much like not quite fan servicey, but
checkboxy. Like,
kind of,
oh,
yeah.
look, like,
it was just like
there's
this, like we need explanations for everything about everything in later Star Wars movies, and so this is how all of this came about. And it's like I don't think we needed an
okay.
explanation for all of that.
Yeah,
and that's what a lot of Solo was in particular. Solo especially.
I'm just impressed with Ron Howard's ability, like to turn
to
Solo
salvage?
into- to salvage
Salvage that
Solo.
movie
Because I heard it was terrible. Like
before
Ron
he was
Howard
involved.
stepped in. And it like I thought Solo was decent.
Yeah.
Who were the people? Who was
The Lego movie, Lord and
Lego
Miller,
movie,
or whatever.
yeah.
dang.
It's Greg and Lord Miller, right?
I don't
Those
know.
brothers. Hold on, let me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hopefully they figure things out, because I still love Star Wars, but like my willingness to kind of accept it as a favorite franchise is not super prevalent, because there's been so many missteps.
Yeah.
I guess I always got to cling to Lord of the Rings.
What? How about the Hobbit trilogy?
Well, no,
How was that?
no, stop. No, I'm not talking
Do you
about.
feel like that somewhat made the kind of tainted a little bit?
No, you know why? Because I didn't even consider those when I was thinking about Lord of the Rings. I totally forgot until you brought it up. When you said the Hobbit, I thought you talked about the book, and I was like, yeah, like the book is great. Like why are you bringing
How
that up
about
like
the
it's a bad
movies?
thing? And then
How
I
about the movies? You got the movies, Dave?
yeah, the movies are
They exist.
yeah, they exist. Yeah, they do.
I mean, they turned one children's book into like
Okay,
a
well,
6-7 hour movie.
Okay, pick a franchise for me then.
Game of oh, never mind, that sucks.
See, we're just always let down by something.
Dude, yeah. I think Game of Thrones is the biggest letdown.
It depends what's gonna happen with Cyberpunk. Like we could say CD Projekt Red properties, but we'll see what happens. Because
But it's not like it's The Witcher 4. Like if The Witcher 4 came out and sucked, it'd be like, oh man, they ruined like something good. But Cyberpunk's just its own thing. So if it's not as great, then it's like whatever.
Dang.
We'll see.
Toy Story went out on top. Toy Story was good all the way through.
I thought they were
Dude,
gonna ruin Toy
Lightyear-
Story, and then they just killed it again. I was so
Yeah,
surprised.
Yeah.
When does Lightyear come out? Is that 2021?
Oh, that's right, Lightyear.
Lightyear
yeah.
looks dope. I'm so excited
Yeah.
for that.
Is it Chris
2022,
Pine? That's
Chris Evans?
oh Chris
Evans.
Evans.
Sevens.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are really angry that Tim Allen is not Lightyear.
No, they're dummies.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not angry. It's like I understand that they're trying to. It's two separate characters essentially, but I think it's also them trying to usher in like a new Buzz Lightyear, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, Tim Allen is getting up there. You know,
Yeah, he's like
yeah, and
90
and
something.
I'm assuming this is going to be a little bit more of a serious, right? Like a little bit more serious.
Yeah,
of a
I think
film?
it is going to be a little more serious. Yeah.
Which I like that it's like they're still kind of keeping it interconnected, Pixar universe, but they're doing something kind of different with it. It's kind of cool.
did you guys ever watch the Buzz Lightyear standalone
Star
movie?
Command?
Yeah.
Yes,
and then
I
the
love that
and then the
movie.
TV show that they did.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that was
It's
a movie
so good.
I really liked as a little kid, and then they did their own series too, which was also really fun.
I think what's his name? Patrick Warburton was the voice of
yeah, he was one of the
Buzz Lightyear. Yeah.
No, I don't think he was the sidekick, wasn't he?
No, I think he voiced Buzz Lightyear.
Wait, really?
Because they couldn't get Tim Allen for the TV show. They could get Tim Allen for the movie, but not the TV show, I don't think. At least maybe some episodes.
Patrick Warburton seems more like a sidekick, but I mean,
Hold
oh
on,
well.
Patrick.
Anyway, yeah, like so I mean, if they do kind of spin-off stuff with that, I think that's going to be promising. I love Toy Story. Toy Story is okay. There's a franchise that never lets you down. You're right, Landon. Toy Story. Okay, we'll throw away Star Wars, throw away Game of Thrones, throw away Lord of the Rings. It's just Toy Story.
Because Toy Story risked it all. Like number 3 wrapped up perfectly, and then they said we'll double down.
We're doing it again.
Yeah,
We'll do it again. Same
they said
teams
same
run it again.
teams run it again.
Oh goodness.
And I was bawling. Like what was the time gap between Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4? It was like 7 years or something.
It was like 9 years.
Yeah.
2010 to 2000.
Still crying in the theater 9 years later. Grown man just crying, like
bawling in front of your friends.
Not quite bawling, but I mean, like I mean,
I went and saw that with you, didn't I, Landon?
I think so. But yeah, I was crying a little bit.
Anyway, did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about? We're almost done.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I gotta get back to gunslinging.
Okay, there you go.
Gunslinging Landon
No.
hits the planes again.
Can we cancel Landon?
He has to go to the
especially after what he's doing right now. He's like doing finger guns like all across his screen right now.
He's got to go to the saloon and ask for a sake bomb.
Can I get a sake bum?
I think it
pulls
bothers
out a
me that
silver
you
dollar.
say it's sake.
Yeah.
Is it sake or sake?
Sake? No, sake, right? Sake.
Sake and sake. Are
Landon is
two very
pasty
different,
white,
like,
so he can say
sake.
sake.
Is it sake? What is
One
it supposed to be?
sake, please.
It's
Anyway,
We don't
okay.
serve.
Anyway,
drink.
well, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. We'll be back sometime next week.
Yeah.
Lord willing. Thanks. Bye.
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 This episode of the Hotkeys podcast was recorded in sunny Great Falls, Montana, and
Is it
Great
done?
Falls, Michigan.
How do I
Joining
mute
us today were
Landon?
Wil
How do I
Dobratz from
mute
Spokane,
Landon?
Washington, and Colby Chapman from Spokane, Washington.
Okay, I'm going to end.
This episode is brought to you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, and other podcasting platforms. Visit our website, www.hotkeyspodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Hotkeys Podcast and join our Facebook group at facebook.com/HKHotkeys. Please like and review us and subscribe to the show on whichever platforms you use. Finally, you can contact us via email at hosts@hotkeyspodcast.com.